Hello everyone, Jeff and Jay here with Jaysbigadventure. Jay's actually off having an adventure. He's at Niagara Falls. But today we're going to work on our K75S. For starters, we're going to remove these two main bolts. These are 8mm Allen head sockets. And then we're going to remove this plate, and I've already unclipped it, but it just snaps on here. Let's get a screwdriver under here and it just pops off. And then we're going to take these two pins out, and the brake pads will slide right out the top. One of the things I want to do is make sure that there's not too much brake fluid in the brake fluid reservoir, because as I spread the pucks back into the calipers, that's going to force fluid back up the hoses into this reservoir. If it's too full, it's going to spill, and that's a bad thing. So we're going to take these three bolts out and just look at the level inside. We've got the three screws out. We're just going to gently look in here and see how much room I have. I've got a little bit of room, so I think we will be okay. It does look like it's time for a brake fluid change. I'll have to let the owner know that that needs to be done. But we're going to put that back on there because it looks like there's enough room in there for now. When you put these bolts back in, be aware they are different lengths. The short one goes in the bottom. To free up the brake lines so that we can move that caliper, we're going to pull down this little flap right here, and there is a bolt right there that we're going to take out, and then we're going to remove these bolts, and that will allow the rear fender to come off. Be aware that this is a really long bolt, and it goes between the two fender halves and holds those together. Remember where that one goes. Now we're just going to take these bolts out. And the caliper's free. When we take these pins out, there is a little metal spring in here and a little metal dowel, and that dowel is not held in by anything except for the spring clip. So when I take this pin out, I want to make sure that that doesn't go flying out. As you can see, these old pads are not completely worn out. There's still a little bit of pad life there, but I know the guy that is buying the bike is going on a long trip. So for $7, I figured I'd help him out. To prevent any further stress on the brake line, I've gone ahead and reinstalled the caliper, and now these pads will just slide right back in place. One on the back side of the rotor and one on the front. The pins in their proper orientation. Let's bring in the dowel pin where it's supposed to be, last step. Put the cover on and we're done. Now it's time for the other side. Okay, the second set of pads is installed. Pins are back in place. We are good to go. Just tighten these bolts up, put the cover back on, and we're finished. Once you've gotten everything all buttoned up and you're sure there aren't any extra nuts and bolts lying around, remember to reset the pads against the rotors by squeezing the front brake a couple times to make sure that those are properly seated. Otherwise, you could end up coming down to the end of your street, grabbing a handful of brakes and having the lever go all the way to the grip. Not a good feeling. Don't ask me how I know that. Also remember, new pads take a while to seat with the old rotors, so they're not going to give you maximum braking performance for a little while. I'd count on at least 100 miles or so. At that point then, you should be good to go.